So the driving goal behind all of the work we do in our West Allis-West Milwaukee School District is to provide equitable learning opportunities for all of our students to ensure they are prepared to live life on their own terms when they graduate. So as a district, we have developed equity non-negotiables as our belief statements that focus on building upon our learners' strengths by embedding the deeper learning competencies into every classroom. Now, this work is important, but this work is also hard. It's human work. It's important to remember that we don't have all the answers and no one is perfect. The goal of this series is not to be a monologue, but rather to have honest discussions from which we can learn. In talking across differences, ourselves and our communities have the opportunity to grow, have the opportunity to be challenged, and to understand more fully the experience of others. That's the power of conversation. While dialogue alone does not solve structural problems, it is a good place to start. So Margaret Wheatley, she's a leading leadership theorist, says it like this: "We do not fear people whose stories we know." So we continue our equity journey by sharing our stories and dismissing fear.
Hey everybody, hey, I am so excited because today we have Kaylee Bitters. Kaylee teaches English at James E. Dodke Project-Based Learning High School. And Kaylee, how long have you been working in the school district?
4 years.
4 years. And you teach English, and in particular, I am interested in your design lab class. Can you kind of give us an overview of that course and how it was created?
Yeah, so originally when it was created, there was a need for electives for students to take, and we really wanted to come up with something that students could take the deeper learning competencies and what we wanted as going into a project-based learning school, what we wanted them to take away. And so that class follows the design thinking model and just kind of letting kids explore what they're interested in and just creating awesome things following that process. But that was the focus, is not so much, we want them to create something cool at the end, but can they identify along the way, along that process, their growth and, the learning that comes out of that.
So that class began as an elective experience, and now you teach it in a more focused English, as a more focused English course. Can you kind of describe how you do that while still allowing kids to explore their passions and simultaneously teaching English standards?
So that's what I think is so great about that class, because I take the steps and the process and all that, and really the English comes in through the kids reflecting, and that could be written reflections. Okay, we're working on writing skills and communicating ideas. It could be video reflections, and that obviously speaking and listening skills, and just like the natural collaboration between students, working on those communication skills and teamwork, and so I'm able to leverage the English stuff almost like secondary, and it still has validity.
Oh, sure.
And not give up the awesome, creative, cool stuff that they're doing, primarily.
I read an article that you wrote. You're into blogging now.
I am.
Which is awesome. So I read a blog post that you wrote, and it was describing some of the work that you do in Design Lab. And in particular, it focused on a project that you had students working on called the Find Your Voice project. Can you kind of explain that a little bit, and then maybe talk about some of the student outcomes?
So the Find Your Voice seminar that I did at the beginning of this year was kind of a follow-up to an older unit I taught, where we read the book Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And the need for students to have an outlet for feeling comfortable in talking about social issues that they're facing in their community. And this, there's also the issue of them being at a weird age where they are having more freedoms, but also don't have a lot of autonomy.
Sure, they're growing into adulthood.
Exactly,
Yep.
and no one is, adults kind of, as teachers traditionally, you kind of tell them what to do and tell them how they should think, and that's not any of our how we jam, but they just are in this weird kind of place. And so I wanted to give them space to talk about, what issues do you face in your community? How do you feel about them? And then I'm just going to step back and let you guys talk about how you think you could change that. And that's kind of what that final, project that we did in that class is, identifying that issue, and then how are you going to solve it? I mean, we're not going to end world hunger in a 8-week seminar, but I'm going to give you space to really think about it and have a voice.
Sure. Can you give us just a few examples of the student projects that were created?
So I had one student who was super interested in the protesting that was going on and the rioting, and just feeling like a very small voice in an ocean of opinions and just a lot going on. And one of her issues, it was family members on Facebook just blatantly being racist, and she was really frustrated with that and was trying to have those conversations. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm right there with you. How do you call out somebody that you care about and love for being ignorant and saying really awful, horrible things? And she said, you know what, I'm going to do a project on, 5 ways to call out your racist uncle. And so she made a social media campaign, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. She posted it on her own personal Instagram, and I didn't expect her to do that. But she's like, no, this is something that I'm proud of and is important, and now I'm giving it out to the world. And she was really, really happy with it at the end.
The mission of our school district is to move us towards an equitable society through deeper learning. And I love what you're saying, because the work that students are doing seems far from a traditional setup, and is focused really on pulling out the inherent genius in all kids, which when I interact with you, I can tell that is something that you're passionate about. How do you structure your seminars, your classes? How do you structure your work so that student voice is at the forefront of your student outcomes?
So part of what I do is I'm not a direct instructor. I don't see myself as a teacher, even though obviously that's what I am, but I see myself more as a guide. And so the way I structure my classes, here's the themes, here's what we want to cover, but I don't, tell them, here's what you have to do. Here are the tools to get the outcomes. If we're learning English, we're going to work on writing skills, but
sure.
you
have standards that you're still
I'm not going to stand
hitting.
there and tell you, here's how you write a complex sentence, or here's how you write an essay, here's the same book that we're going to read and analyze. I'm going to say, okay, I want you to write about this. Don't worry about anything. Just write and share your ideas. And then I sit down with that student individually, and we have conversations, and we work together. And and it's beautiful because I can individualize that instruction, because every kid is different, and every kid needs something different than the kid sitting next to them. And by being able to do that, I think the kid gets more out of it, not just from an academic sense, but from feeling empowered and feeling like they have the ability to say to the teacher, I might be struggling with this skill, but here's how I'm smart in other ways.
Sure. Yeah, and then you can build on that in order to then supplement the deficit in the skill.
I had a student yesterday even say to me, when they were younger, they felt smart, and then something happened, and now they don't feel smart. And this is an amazingly wonderful child who has so much to offer and has lots of skills. And just being able to say to him, no, I think you're smart. And just seeing that shift in mindset, just in that one conversation of, just because you struggle with, math or writing, it doesn't make you dumb.
Right.
You have so much more to offer.
Yeah. We still care about those things.
Yes.
We still care about those things, but in a project-based learning setting, we care about our focus isn't just on a content standard. It's the deeper learning standards and embedding those into all of the coursework that we do. I just want to ask you one more question before we wrap up here. In your time working at Dodke, we've obviously gone through a big transformation over the last couple of years. In that time, how have you seen kids open up and really grab a hold of the idea that they are going to live life on their terms?
Yeah, so one example of that is one of my crew students who we got last year, about halfway through the year. And he came in, had not so great of a home life kind of situation, came in very, very shy and quiet, reserved. And through this opportunity to explore his own personal interests, turns out he's a great public speaker, and he has a lot of amazing ideas, and just needed somebody to push him and say, your ideas matter.
Sure.
We care about what you have to say. And giving him just the space and the room to figure that out for himself. And he did several projects, including that Find Your Voice seminar, where he explored podcasting and just bringing his voice out, bringing in other people's, encouraging them to share their voice. And now we are looking at, applying for colleges, helping him with scholarships. And he wants to do something where he's not sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, and he wants to be moving and talking to people and helping. And so now we're exploring, what might that look like that, isn't, there's a bunch of jobs out there for a bunch of different people, and you just got to take the time to sit and look for them. So
right, because if he's going to live life on his own terms, he needs to identify for himself what that means for him.
Right.
And some of that is your natural talent, your natural ability, but some of that is thinking through opportunities or life decisions that you may have never even thought to come across. And I know the student you're talking about, and I know that his demeanor and his excitement for the work that he's doing has grown exponentially because he was able to find his voice, and because he now understands that he has a really significant purpose to live out, and he has a lot of natural ability and a lot of things that the world is going to need out of him. So it's good. I was excited to see some of the work that he had done.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do.
Oh, it's incredible. I can't wait.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see what else comes out of Design Lab. You got anything in the works coming up here?
So we are going back to our roots and doing kind of a Shark Tank entrepreneurship kind of model, and hopefully we can get some experts in to talk to students and help coach them up. And
awesome.
Can't wait to see what they come up with.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming by, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.